Release the Kraken!
Greetings, fellow game designers. Ron here at Lame Duck Studios. And in this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and begin making our chair. Now, there are a bunch of different ways you can model a chair. So you can make this in multiple pieces. You can see we have legs, we have a seat, we've got a back panel, as illustrated here, left and right, and we have the little slats for where you can rest your back. You could make these out of simple cubes and just kind of plop them all down and do it that way. That's perfectly fine. You could make it all out of one piece, or you can make it out of multiple pieces and then sew it together. Whichever way you want to go about it is really up to you and your use case. Naturally, making it out of these separate pieces would be the cheapest way of going. It's the fastest way of going. And it's the cheapest way when it comes to memory, because there's not as many subdivisions. It's just, so for example, this is what, this is about 9 cubes. So 9 cubes, and each cube is 6-sided, so that's what, 54 faces. That's pretty cheap when it comes to making an object. Whereas if you like subdivide this a bunch, you might get a denser model. So whichever method you're going to use, for the best practice, you kind of get used to a bunch of different tools. We're actually going to do this out of one piece. So in our case, let's go ahead and just drop in a cube. And we're going to, first thing to do is position this where we want it to be. And then we're going to do a bunch of cutting and extruding. So let's jump into our front view. Here we are. And from our front view, I'm going to bring the cube down. Let's go to our poly cube over here. Let's go down to width, make it wider. Now the way that I'm actually doing this out here is I'm selecting the word, and then I'm middle mouse clicking, that's pushing it on the mouse wheel, and then dragging left or right. So I'm going to drag to the right to make that bigger. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the height, drag that out, kind of fill the height. And you can see from the position of my picture that it's not exactly center. I'm going to go ahead and poke the R down here, grab the picture. I'm just going to center that up on the cube, because I know the cube is dead center, so let's go ahead and center that up. Good enough. Poke the R again, make sure it's R. Grab the seat, move it into position. Now, whenever you're doing box modeling, it's very important that whatever you do in the front, you then go to the other side and start working there. So I'm going to go to my side view, and I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to take this, let's go into our poly cube here, go to our depth, middle mouse click out, and drag the depth out. And you can see that it's not exactly center. So we have 36. I'll just do that 36 by 36 here. Poke the R. Let's move the picture back just so it lines up. There we go. That way we don't have any incongruencies whenever we try to move something, it's in the wrong spot. We're going to have something that's going to line up. But there's our seat. That's the first part of box modeling. We took one picture, shaped it, took the other picture, shaped it, and we get a 3D model. Cool. Now we're going to add the positions for the legs. So again, you could make this out of another cube and put it in position, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and cut into my cube here to get the 4 corners that I need to pull out the legs. To do that, I'm going to go to my poly cube. Let's go down to subdivisions here. I'm going to go over to my width and subdivisions. Grab that word, middle mouse click out, and I'm going to go ahead and drag. It's going to split it, but I need another split for where the legs are going to be. So I actually need to have 3 cuts in here, okay, or 3 sections. So I need 2 splits. So one more split, dink. So now I have 3 sections. I'm going to go down to my depth, and same thing. You can just type the number in here, or you can middle mouse click and drag. So 1 split, 2 splits. So now this is divided into 9 sections, and I have 4 places that I can use for my legs. Fancy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my front view first. So go ahead, go to my front view, And the first thing I want to do is make it so that I can see. So let's go ahead and go to our attributes over here. And under the color, if you don't see it, you can always right click and then go down to material attributes. It'll get you here. Go to our transparency, just drag that up so I can see the picture a little bit. That's probably good enough. It's a white picture, so it's really going to be hard to see if I go too far up, but just enough so I can see kind of the grid and everything. That's fine. We'll go to vertex mode. I'm going to grab this group of vertices here. So I just middle mount, or do a marquee, so drag select, grab those. I'm grabbing all of them. So when I do that, I'm actually getting all the ones through the model here. I'm going to line this up with this leg. So go ahead and drag it and line them up with that leg. Now you can snap this into place by holding down the X key. So if I let go, hold down X, you'll see that our square turns into a circle. It also toggles this little horseshoe up here with the grid. That's our grid snap. So if I go ahead and hold that down and then drag the arrow, dink, it'll snap it, which is really cool. So that's going to snap right there. I'm going to come over here, grab this one, hold down the X key, and drag the snap. Good. Okay, let's go ahead and do the other side. So spacebar, let's go back into our side view, and same deal. Let's go ahead and grab this group, hold down X, snap it. There we go. Now it's very important that when you do the snap that you're dragging the arrow and not the middle. If you drag the middle, you're going to break your model. So make sure you're grabbing the arrow instead of the middle. Let's go ahead and grab these. Hold down X, again drag the arrow, and snap. So now we have the legs the correct thickness. Let's go ahead and make the legs. Let's go into face mode. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the chair, and I'm going to select these 4 faces. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one. I'm going to press Q to get rid of the widget here, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab the next. So hold down Shift, grab that one, hold down Shift, and you can see the little plus sign on my arrow here. That means I'm adding. And one more. So now I have all 4 legs selected. Make sure nothing else is selected. You don't want to have like the back of the thing accidentally grabbed or something like that. Okay, so I've got those. Let's go up to poly modeling and then go down to extrude. It's this one here. You can also get there by going to edit mesh and then also go down to extrude. Either one of these does the same thing. So I'll hit extrude, and then I'm going to pull down. Normally you would pull off the blue arrow, but I'm actually going to hit W and just pull down on the green arrow all the way down. Go to my front view. I'm going to hold down the X key, and I'm just going to snap using the arrow down to the ground. So there is the beginning of our chair. Look at that. And that should be the same from the side. So far, so good. Let's go ahead and do the back braces here. So kind of like we did with the legs, I'm going to hit Q to get rid of the widget. Make sure I'm in face mode. And then I'll go ahead and grab the back piece and that back corner piece as well. Make sure nothing else is selected. If it is, you can just kind of click off and then try again. And then I hit extrude one more time. Now I've already used extrude before, so I can also use the hotkey G to repeat my last action. So I can either hit the button or hit G. G will do the last thing I did, which is extrude. And then again I'm going to hit W and just pull straight up. Let's go into my front view here. Now I'm going to pull these all the way up to the top here. You can see they go just a little bit past the grid line, which means I can't snap to it. If I were to try to hold X and snap, it would go too far or too little. So in this case, I'm not going to do any snapping. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and get it into position. And just double check from both sides. They should be fairly even on both sides. And that's good. It's going to be a bit of a tall chair, huh? But it's okay. This is going to be fun. To do these central slats, we're going to add a couple edge loops in here and then do some bridging. So check this out. We're going to go and grab our insert edge loop tool. First things first, Let's go up to Mesh Tools, come down to Insert Edge Loop, go ahead and grab that. For the first slat, which is right here, I'm going to go ahead and add an edge loop. So I'm going to go ahead right about there. And you can see where the blue edge is. I'm going to take the tip of the arrow right there on the blue edge, and then just add one right there. That's one loop. I need to add one more, so I'll go there. But I also need to have a loop on this side. So remember, one for each, so top and bottom. So one there, and one there. So now that I have these, I need to make sure they line up. So you can see if I go to the front here, they don't exactly line up. So what I need to do is grab all the edges all the way around this one, and all the way around this one. I'm going to go here, double click it, then I'll hold shift, go to the other edge over here, double click, make sure I've got them all the way through. I'm going to hit R to go to scale. I'm going to grab the green top one here and just scale down, and that's going to make them so they're even. Go to my front view over here, and it's kind of hard to see, but you can see this little outline here, an outline there. I need to move this so it's just the bottom of this slat, so W. And I want to go ahead and drag these down to about there. So it's hard to see on the camera. Let me go ahead and turn my grid off here. Maybe that's a little bit easier to see. So those are right about there. I'm going to grab these ones as well. Same deal, I can go to edge mode. Just double click the edge, hold shift, double click this edge. Make sure you have them all the way through. You should, but just in case. Hit R to bring up the scale tool. Let's go ahead and scale it so it's straight. And then W, go ahead and drag that down so it lines up with that slat. So just kind of eyeball it, make sure it's lined up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's go ahead and do the top section as well. So I'm going to go out into the world, so perspective view. Let's add another group of subdivisions. Let's go up to Mesh Tools, come down to Insert Edge Loop, and right about where the second slat's supposed to be, I'll go ahead and Edge Loop. I'll do one above, and then Edge Loop, and one above. Q gets rid of my tool. Go ahead and double click the edge loop to get all the way around. Hold shift, double click, get the other one, and go into my front view. R brings up my scale tool. I'll grab the middle scale, just drag that down, make sure they're even. And then W brings up the move tool. Let's go ahead and bring these down to about where that's going to be. I'll double click this line up here. Hold shift, double click that one, make sure I have them all the way around. I do. Then I'll move those so that they are even. So R, go ahead and scale down until they're even. W, I'll go ahead and move these up to that one. And that should be good enough. Okay. So now I have the positions for where the slats are going to go, but I don't actually have the slats to go there. For that, we're going to use a tool called the Bridge tool. So we're going to actually take this part and combine it with that part. And you're going to see how to do it in just a second. But how fancy do we want to do this? Do we want the slat to be the same thickness as the leg, or should we make the slat a little bit thinner so it looks more like this? I think a little thinner. What do you think? Sure? Maybe. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to grab the 4 faces on the inside. So go to face mode. Q gets rid of my tool, or brings it back to my pointer here. I'll grab this face, come down, grab that one. I'm going to grab the ones that line up with my picture here. Hold shift, grab this one, and that one. So those are those 4 pieces. Let's give them some depth. So let's go ahead and hit extrude. Only hit it once. And then we get this wonderful widget. I'm going to go ahead and click on the blue square. So go ahead and tap it. It's going to change the middle to this square. Then I'm going to grab the middle. I'm going to drag to the left. It's going to bring this down kind of like that. And it should give us this little insert face on all 4 sides. Okay? I'm then going to compress this down so it's a little bit thinner. So then come down to the red box here, click and drag backward. And there's our position for our slat. Now go ahead and hit the delete key. So now we have a hole for where we're going to put our slats. Okay? I'm going to go into edge mode here. I'm going to select this edge. I'm going to come around and grab the edge directly across from it. Okay? 1 edge, 2 edge. If I go up to Edit Mesh and go down to Bridge, it's going to create a face. And we need 4 faces. So, let's go ahead and try it. Hit Q, get rid of that. Grab this one. Grab the one across. I can go back up, Edit Mesh, and do a bridge. Or I can use the G key, which does the last thing that I did. So if I select them both, press G, it'll do the last thing that I tried. Okay? Select that one, this one. I'll show you another shortcut. So another way to get to bridge is to hold down the Shift key and then right click on the edge. It'll bring up a submenu. You can go down the bridge and get that here. Look at that. Grab this one. Grab that one. I can repeat the last action by hitting G. So there we go. And there is our slat. I'm going to come down to the bottom. I'm going to get my edge tool. Now check this out. You can actually group multiple or bridge multiple edges together. So I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to go all the way around this opening. Hold Shift. Go all the way around this opening. And then I'm going to press the G key. And it'll do the last action all at once. Fantastic. So now I have the shape of my chair. I'm going to go ahead and bring the transparency back down to 0. Again, if you don't know how to get there, you can right click on the model and go down to material attributes to get there and bring the transparency back down. And here we go. So there is our chair modeled. In the next one, we're going to go ahead and do the UVs, and then we'll start texturing. Make sure you save your work, and I shall see you next time. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. Misty and I both thank you. If you've enjoyed that video you just watched, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, I do have official merch and a Patreon somewhere in the link down below. Updates for things that are coming along. Of course, we are at 1,000 subscribers, and that is awesome. We're still doing voting for what project I'm going to work on next, like what big project I'm going to work on next. So make sure you head over there and do that. Also, keep your eye out for the devlogs for Blockout and Rocket Flip. Those are 2 games that are coming out for Lame Duck Studios, officially released and all that good stuff. And if you guys want to see how those are being put together and the process that I've been going through, stay tuned for that. You'll be seeing those coming up here soon. And don't forget that I create new content on Sundays and I release content on Wednesdays. So stay tuned, and I shall see you next time.